I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. At the dinner table, meaningful conversations about school, work, and life support children and encourage them to succeed. Parent University and Believe to Become are proud to support our show today. Hi, I'm Chef Terry Reese, and welcome to Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. We're here at WKTV Studios, and tonight we're going to be working with mini desserts. Now, mini desserts are fairly easy, but they can be time-consuming. And I like to tell the little story about my daughter who said to me when she got married, "Mom, can you do all these mini desserts for me? They should cost less because they're so little, right?" And I told her to go check with some people. And she came back and decided that we would do a little bit different because it can be labor intensive. But anything that you want can become a mini dessert. The first dessert we're going to work on is a cranberry macaroon. Cranberries, actually they should be coming out about now. But what I do is I will buy bags of cranberries and freeze them directly and keep them all year round. I'll make pickled cranberries, believe it or not, cranberry jam, sorbet, all types of different things. And they stay frozen for as long as you need to use them. What's nice about cranberry macaroons is you can make them big or you can make them little. And when you make them little, they become a little dessert. So what I have in this bowl here is about 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of crushed cranberries. And I did this using a little blender that I have, but you can use a knife, you can use a pastry cutter, anything in your kitchen that will work is usable to do it. And they're nice and fresh, but as you know, they wilt a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add in about 2/3 cup of flour. And that flour is going to help coat them so that they stay suspended in the macaroon that we're going to be doing. Now this is a very sweet macaroon. And I just want to go ahead, toss them up here a bit. Okay, what I'm going to do is add in about 14 ounces or a pound, up to a pound of shredded coconut. The bag's already been opened. I use this for the samples that you're going to have later. And I'm going to mix that in with it. And just toss it up a little bit. And then a good old can of sweetened condensed milk. And this is sticky. This is where if you were at home and it gets on your fingers, you're going to want to lick it, but I will try my best not to. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? You're all going, I wonder if she can really make it through without licking it. Ha. And then I'm going to go ahead and just mix it up. May take a little bit. Twirl the bowl around. You could do it in a blend, like a kitchen mixer if you wanted, but that makes too much noise for me and then I'd have to dig it out. So this is kind of like a lazy person's dessert. So I have it mixed up. And that's really all that there is to this. If you wanted, you could add nuts to it. You could add chocolate chips. You could add something that you wanted to add to a flavor profile for it. And what I like about these is they're really nice colored when it comes to Christmas and Valentine's Day. And then all you got to do is scoop them out. Now what I have here is what most of you think of as a truffle scoop. But in culinary school, we learned that this is a measuring device. And for all of you who don't realize it, on the inside of your scoops, whether they're big or they're little, there's a number. This one is 100. It's 100 scoops per quart. So if I measured this actually out the right way, which I probably wouldn't do, I would get about 100 of these out of a quart. And all I'm going to do is just put these on a cookie sheet in a nice little format, which makes them a little dessert. So they're about this big. They're very sweet, so with coffee or tea, they're going to be just right. Now, if you do baking, one of the rules in baking is you make a roll this way And then you go ahead and you make a roll going down. And this will tell you how many cookies you're going to get on a sheet. And so if you get 20 on a sheet, you'll have them divided out. You know that every time you make this, there'll be 20 on a sheet. You can fill this up, and at this point, you could put them in the oven and bake them, or you could freeze them to bake at a later date. And when you do that, they come out, my handy dandy little oven, and they look like this. They take about 15 to 20 minutes to bake, and they get nice and golden brown on the outside. So it takes you maybe 4 or 5 minutes to mix up a batch of these, and then you have some beautiful cookies that you can use anytime as a mini dessert. You can do this pretty much with any cookie dough that you have by making them little, do trios of desserts. But this is great for the holidays coming up, a good way to use the cranberries that you get. And we could say, you know, the cranberries have all that good vitamin C in there, so we could use it that way. The cranberries that you freeze, they'll stay in your freezer for about 9 months to a year. Perfectly good after all that point. So that's how easy that one is. And I think once you taste them, you'll go, yep, I can do that. So my hands got a little sticky here. So I'm going to move over here a second. Sorry, back to you. The next thing, which is a little bit more complex, is I'm going to do the Palmer House brownie. Brownies were made, everybody's got their favorite brownie recipe. I know that for a fact. But they originated at the Palmer House in Chicago. And it's a great brownie. It takes a little bit of time to do. So let me get out the ingredients. I got started here. Okay, everybody say ooh and ah. 1 pound of chocolate, 1 pound of butter. I didn't say it was a healthy dessert. I know, you're thinking, she's really going to do that. So what I did was I put this over a little bit of water, and I melted the butter and the chocolate together. And this is bittersweet chocolate. You don't want to use pure chocolate. You want some sugar in it. But one of the things that you want to do is find somewhere, I don't care if it's at a store or at a garage sale, a pan that fits one of your favorite metal bowls so that it just kind of sits in here. This is the only pan that I use this for because it happens to be a perfect fit. Don't have a clue as to where I got it, but I ended up having a perfect fit. And then when you melt chocolate or anything in it, you don't want to have the water touch the bottom of the bowl because that will cause it to burn. So we're going to move up over in here and pour this in here. Yeah. You want the bowl to lick? I'll let you lick the bowl later. Okay. And now I need to add in about a pound of sugar and some flour with a little bit of baking powder in it, which I've already mixed. And I do need some eggs. But if I added my eggs in right now, they would scramble. So I'm going to add in the sugar. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir this up. Kind of get it all mixed in there. One of the things when you learn how to whisk, try to keep your elbow in a little bit, because if you whisk like this, you're going to get really tired. So if you just kind of tuck your elbow in, then I'm going to add in the flour with a little bit of baking powder in it. Let it go. Now at this point, the batter is getting pretty thick and it's getting very rich. And the nice thing about this brownie mix is you can make them thick brownies or you can make them thin brownies. And I'll show you what we mean by that. And then I'm going to mix in my eggs. Now some people will say we need to break these eggs up or whip them up beforehand, but you really don't need to do that. All you got to do is just kind of put them in here, break them up on the top, and then fold them in. So now I've got your basic brownie mix. At this point, I could add in walnuts. I could add in pecans. I could probably throw in craisins or something that I wanted. I'm going to leave this one plain. And what I have here is just a basic baking pan. And you can do it in a pan like this. You could break it up into a couple of small pans. If you're fortunate enough that your kitchen is big enough to put in a big sheet pan, you could do it that way. But what I've done is I have sprayed this, and then I've put in some flour to dust it with so that we can easily get this out of the pan. And so I'm going to go ahead. This is the bowl you really want to lick. And put that in here. Now it doesn't look like you would think that it would get very large and raise, but it does have some baking powder, and so it will raise up. And one of the things you want to do is level it out just by going and moving it around and setting it to the point. And sometimes you can shake it. And then you'd put this in the oven. And when it comes out in about 30 to 40 minutes, you will get some really delicious brownies. Now what's going to happen with this mix is the edges are going to start to brown up and crisp up, but the center is going to be still a little bit moist, a lot moister than what you normally think. That's okay, because when you pull it out of the oven, it's going to have what they call overcooking. So it's going to continue to cook until the brownie gets set all the way. And I'm going to set this over here and do my magic trick. And I can show you here we have the brownie that we've taken out. Now this is half of a brownie. And what I've done here is put it with a sheet that's lined. And I'll take this over here. Just put it right up here. And then we can just lift it right out. When it came out of the pan, we took a jelly mixed with water and brushed it over to keep it soft and moist. You could use simple syrup and do it. It would work all the same way. And now let's see if I have it here. I thought I did. Yep, missed it. So we improvise a little bit. You can cut this in any way you want. We've used it over here where we have done circles and stacked them up. You can easily go ahead and cut these into beautiful, nice squares. And I know somebody, and a good way to double check that is, you've got a piece cut, just put the next piece next to it, cut, go ahead and cut, and you'll get even squares. Or you can cut them into triangles. Now this is really rich. And so what you can do is take some frosting. See, we'll do a couple of squares. This is just a basic chocolate butter frosting. Use them up. Stack some. Go ahead and stack it. If you really wanted to, you could go 3 tall, but it's quite a rich brownie. But you could go ahead and stack it up like that. You could use powdered sugar on top of it. You could use strawberries, raspberries, any fruit that you have available, and set these out. Now, what happens is when you do circles like this, you're going to have a lot of different corners left over. So what do you do with those besides eat them? What you can do, and I'll show you what I mean here, is once you start to cut the circles, you get all these piece parts. Freeze them, take them out when you need a quick dessert, mix it with layer some vanilla pudding, layer your brownie, layer some whipped cream, do it again, put it in a nice bowl, top some strawberries or anything on there, and then you have a trifle out of it. You can also do that same process in a small shooter glass. And then you'll end up with shooter small desserts. So it just depends upon how you want to break up this one dessert. You can do 4 or 5 different things with it and make it a mini dessert for an appetizer. Unfortunately, this is really what I want. So that's how you can make this into several different desserts at once. So that's the macaroons, and then we have the brownie stacks. And the other thing that we have are apple roses that you can make. So one of the things that we're going to do is slice an apple. And we've taken the core out of it. And I happen to own a really nice mandolin. This is very, very sharp. And it will cut thin slices for you. Now you can practice your knife skills and do that, or you can just you can use a mandolin for it. And all I'm going to do, and this is some acidulated water, fancy word for it. I have some lemon juice in here so the apples don't turn brown. If you don't have the lemon juice, you could use apple cider vinegar. And we're just going to go through and slice it up like that. And if you notice, these are very thin. They're actually partly breaking, some of them. If you use a knife and they're fairly large, go ahead and microwave your apples for about 3 to 4 minutes because you're going to want them to be very soft. So we're going to set that there and move my mandolin over and get the rest of the piece parts out. So I have a muffin tin and my favorite rolling pin, and then we'll see how this works. Now we have pastry here. I've made puff pastry before. It's wonderful when you make it by yourself, but you don't really need to do that. You can buy this in the store. But what you want to do is buy 2 or 3 packages at a time and from different stores, because you never know. This one looks pretty good. You never know which one's going to have been frozen and thawed, and then it won't puff, and you will feel it when you take a look at it. This is raspberry jam and some water. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on the board. The technical term for that is fleurer. It's a French term. It's when the guys do this, and the good bakers just kind of flick their wrists. And of course I have white on, so it's going to be all over me. And we'll lay out this dough. Take it this way. And just put a little bit more on. And then what I'm going to do is get about 6 strips off of here. Rolling pins come in all kinds of different sizes. I have a marble one that doesn't really fit anything. I happen to like the big ones. I don't like the tapered French ones because I don't do the weight as easy as it should. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stretch it out just a little bit. Doesn't take much. And this one is working just fine. And so what I need to do is cut this into 6 strips. The easiest way for me to do it is, I know that these were the marks from folding it over, so I can cut them in half from that point, or I can just kind of wing it. A lot of times I wing it. We'll see how it goes. Pizza cutters. They work better for things like this than even pizza. So we'll go ahead and do 1. There. So now what I need to do is, it's nice and easy. I can pick it up. We were doing them the other day, and everything that could go wrong with the puff pastry was going wrong with the puff pastry. So today it just is going right. It's a good thing. You just got to go with it sometimes. So I'm going to brush a little bit of this on. It's going to give it some moisture, and it's going to go ahead and go through. So let's do 3 of them, and we'll get going here. Get my sections. And what I want to do is lay my apples out so that they pop up over. You can put as many on as you want, but if you haven't used a mandolin and it's not as thin, you're going to have a little bit more difficulties rolling this. So let me move this out of the way. What I'm going to do is fold over and make a little envelope. And then I'm going to just roll this up by pinching it. And of course it said, Terry, this is a mini appetizer. Well, if I had a mini muffin tin, all I would do is cut it right there and pop it in the mini muffin tin and go forward. And then set it down, go ahead and pop it in my tin. I'll do one more because you didn't believe I could do it that easy, right? All right, come on. Now these will take about, depends on your oven, at about 375 degrees to 400 degrees in a non-convection oven. This took about 20 minutes for me to get mine done. Red apples work a lot better than the light green apples because then it won't, the green really doesn't make it look like a rose. This is a great dessert to do with kids. They like to play with things, and puff pastry like this is fairly forgiving. So what I'm going to do is roll it up. And then pop it in a tin. Keep doing that until you have them all done. And out of one piece of puff pastry, you get 6. Out of 2 packages, you will get a dozen of them. So they come out of the oven, and they look like this. Now, these can be served just like they are. They can be cut in half and dusted with powdered sugar, or if you take them right out of the oven and they're warm, ice cream on them is incredible. You can also dust them with cinnamon sugar if you like and go forward from that point. So right there, we have 3 different really easy mini desserts that you can do that are fairly elegant. But I want to show you one other thing that you can do to make a dessert be a little bit different. We had some time, and we found these really beautiful little containers. And if you don't really want to go to the trouble of making some things, get this one. Get some nice containers, and then you can fill them with pudding. These happen to have lemon curd and iced topping on, whipped topping on them, and they make absolutely incredibly good mini desserts. These are actually have some pound cake in it. You can either make your own pound cake or buy it, and then just go through the decorating. So this one is just kind of plain, but when you put a little bit of a swirl on top, you get this beautiful little dessert that comes out of it. So a lot of times it's just the vessel that you put them in. You can use them in glasses like this, on Chinese spoons. You could put strawberries on it, you could put raspberries on it, and elevate that mini dessert that you're going to serve at a buffet to almost anything that you want using ordinary items in your house. Shot glasses work really good. The cordials work really good for that. So we have brownie stacks. We have some beautiful cranberry macaroons, and then we have the apple roses, and then just a selection of different small dessert vessels that you can use. My name's Chef Terry Reese. Thanks for watching Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Until next time, you can find these recipes and more at www.chefterryreese or follow me on Facebook. I'll see you next time. Remember, be creative and cook at home. Thanks for watching today's show, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Remember, at the dinner table, much love is expressed. Life-giving conversations encourage children to believe in their unlimited potential, embrace high expectations, and seize every opportunity to achieve success in school, work, and life. Learn more about Believe to Become at IBelieveBecome.org.